We love the Icelandic sheep. There's so many reasons why we raise them. There's so many reasons why we hate them. They are kind of renowned, I suppose, for being really easy keepers. Very thrifty. Put them out on pasture, they do amazing. We have found not so true. They need good pasture. Really good pasture, and they eat and eat. They need a lot of pasture. Now, take into consideration these animals come originally from Iceland, where basically, as anybody who's been to Iceland knows, they're free range. They're everywhere, and they have acres and acres and acres of pasture at their disposal. There are certainly pluses and minuses to them. Icelandic sheep are hardy in that sense of they can handle cold, they can handle poor quality food as long as they have lots of it, need very little shelter, great at lambing. I mean, we'll show you as we get up here. Amazing at lambing. From a lambing perspective, amazing, hardy babies. How are you doing, little spaniel? Hey? I think she looks like a spaniel. Are you going to let me touch it this morning? Nope, of course not. Very, very shy. We've had the Icelandic sheep now for 5 years, and we have only lost 2 lambs at birth. Otherwise, pretty much unassisted. Maybe a little bit of effort on my part to kind of help a tough situation. Tony's down here wanting some attention too. Hey? Yeah, you're such a good fella. Tony is another gray. Here's another gray. We have a lot of grays this year. And there's another gray, but he's got spots on him. Definitely the fleece is another aspect of why we chose to raise the Icelandic. We wanted a dual purpose. The main reason we chose sheep is we love lamb and wanted the meat. But as a knitter and a spinner, once we got them, we made the decision we wanted to have a fleece sheep that we could, use for spinning and creating a secondary byproduct. Whether that was for a sale purpose or just for personal use, doesn't really matter. The Icelandic produce a very, very long coat. I actually shear them twice a year, which is wonderful from a fleece perspective. And from spinning, you get a lot out of one ewe or ram, or even the lambs. The lamb fleece is so desirable. Certainly, one of the reasons that we chose to raise this particular breed is for their fleece and the multitude of colors. Yet they still maintain a uniform look to them, even if they are all different colors. Another thing that I should mention about these girls, Icelandic would be a triple purpose breed. If you take a look there, let me just zoom in on Lila's udder. These girls could also be a milking breed. I have not tried it yet. You definitely could do it, and it is done. So that would be another definite plus to the Icelandics, would be the triple purpose that you could get. I think you'd have to select for that to get your good milking animals, but certainly doable. Now, the one negative I would say to this breed is parasite resistance. Probably coming from Iceland, that is not that surprising, because I'm sure from their isolation they were not exposed to a lot of different parasites. So we definitely find it is a case they need to be rotated onto fresh pasture, and so far we found worming is a must after birthing. We try and spot worm after that only if we see a situation that arises that needs it. We also kind of select for that strength in them. If somebody's had an issue with worms, they are potentially a cull animal after that. So, hi Patches. Hey. Patches is another black, but you can see again, she's frosting out. They all do that. Every year is a different color, so your fleece never stays the same. There they go, off to the pasture. Sheep with the proper setup are definitely one of the easier things we have to manage here on the farm. We didn't dive into owning Icelandic sheep lightly. Although we have not actually owned any other sheep breed, we did do a lot of research before making our decision on these girls. Whether it was talking to other people who had them, YouTube, internet, book smarts. There was a lot of research done before making our decision. I think that's something that I can't stress enough for people, is make sure that you've looked into it and know what you're kind of getting into, and try and stay committed long enough to give it a good chance. Of course, on the trip back to the pasture, there is always lots of snacking. The little ones are getting so big so quick. Here we are out in the pasture. Happy sheep. If you have not had the luxury of tasting Icelandic lamb meat, you should see if you can find some. It is amazing. I cannot promote it enough. There is something different about it. Grass-fed, homegrown, I don't know how you want to word it, but Icelandic lamb is, I couldn't be without it. We've made the decision. It didn't matter how awkward or how much money we had to spend to raise these guys. We were going to have Icelandic sheep and keep with it. And we're glad we did. To sum it up, pluses to Icelandic sheep and why we raise them: meat. By far the most important, meat. Simplicity in a way. I mean, give them grass, they're happy, they're round, they're fat, they're good to go. Fleece, amazing secondary byproduct that we happen to use to spin and to knit with. It's certainly a desirable product, desirable yarn, desirable quality. They produce a fleece that has what they call a tog and fell, which I will link the video below where I kind of talk about that a little bit. But basically you can go from making anything like twine or rope or something that needs the strength all the way down to making undergarments for babies. That's the varying softness of their fleece, which makes it super versatile. Super, super easy on lambing. Negatives, just for anybody who is watching this thinking about getting them. Negatives, you need a catch pen. These animals are skittish. I'm not sure if that's just from, as we talked about earlier in the video, where they're from and their natural background of being somewhat wild. But you need a catch pen. These are skittish. Yes, I can pet them. They will come up to me, but for actual catching purposes, you need to have somewhere you can run them into. They are loud. Now, I'm not sure if that's any sheep, but they are loud. When they want something, they will let you know. That's also a plus, I suppose, because if something is going on, you also know about it. Probably the last negative for us would be parasites. You need to have the space to move them, to keep them parasite free, keep your pastures parasite free. The first year we had very small space and kind of plunged in a little bit more than we should have, and did lose a few animals to parasites. That was also just lack of knowledge on our part, but we are trying to do this as naturally as possible with as little wormers and all that sort of stuff as we can. So we're slowly selecting our herd for its strength and immunity to those worms, but you still have to have the pasture to run rotation. Even if you're only rotating in quarter-acre pastures, you need to be able to rotate to keep them off of it for long enough to break those cycles. But I think that's a wrap. I think that's about everything you need to know about these Icelandic sheep. Obviously there is more out there, and definitely do your research before getting into it, but they are an amazing breed to have. And if you have any questions, certainly put them in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any other information we have on our Icelandic sheep or any of the other animals on the homestead, because we have quite a few.